Work needs to be undertaken at the wash plant on equipment on the load side of the switch disconnect unit.
Ron, as switching officer, can you take a crew and isolate the switch disconnect unit in the wash plant?
Click to highlight what is required by legislation to be completed before proceeding to work on site. Sorry, that's not right. The Electricity Act 1976 requires the switching officer to complete a switching sheet prior to starting any high voltage work. The switching sheet will need to state the switching sheet number, location switching required, switching start date, detailed description of work to be done, name of switching officer. It is important to know the identification code for the switches referred to in the switching sheet. You need to check the identification code on this reticulation diagram. It specifies all the high voltage switches on the high voltage system. There is an identification code for each switch. Select the full name for the switch label W0305E. Click and drag name in the correct order. That's good, you're right. Click on the equipment you will need to have on site to complete the job. Sorry, that's not right. The equipment that you must take to the site is high voltage tester, high voltage gloves, high voltage link sticks, access sheet. Drag a number and place in the box to show the correct order of the sequence to disconnect and isolate equipment. That's incorrect. The correct sequence of steps to disconnect the switch disconnect unit to isolate equipment is shed load by opening main 415-volt air brake switch, trip switch disconnect unit, rack out switch disconnect unit, place danger tag on line side of the switch disconnect unit. You use high voltage gloves when undertaking a high voltage manual switching operation. Before using them, you must carry out some checks. Can you use these high voltage gloves? Click yes or no. Sorry, better luck next time. You must check when the high voltage gloves were first used or last inspected. If you are to use them, the date must be less than 12 months old. Another check on high voltage gloves is called a roll test. Why are the high voltage gloves being rolled up? Click on the correct answer. You must roll up the high voltage gloves to test for air leakage. If air leaks, it means they are damaged and you are not to use them. You must also check for obvious deterioration, such as cracks, perished rubber, stiffness, or gloves bonded together. Drag a number and place in the box to show the correct order when testing for dead. Yes, that's right. The correct procedure when testing any equipment for dead is to test the high voltage tester to ensure it is working correctly. Test all equipment to be worked on for dead. Test the high voltage tester again to ensure it is still working. Drag a number and place in the box to show the correct order when testing for dead. Yes, that's right. The correct procedure when testing any equipment for dead is to test the high voltage tester to ensure it is working correctly. Test all equipment to be worked on for dead. Test the high voltage tester again to ensure it is still working. Click on the tag that should be placed on the isolation switch. Correct answer. Very good. Regulation 44 of the Electricity Regulations 1989 requires a personal danger tag to be placed on the isolation switch. Click on the area on the access permit that you think is incomplete. Click on Continue when you are ready. Wrong choice. It is necessary to complete the high voltage access permit showing switching sheet number, area to access, diagram of system conditions, signatures of all persons signing on to the permit. Congratulations! You have correctly isolated the equipment and made it safe to work on. After you have completed the assigned work, you now have to re-energize the high voltage system. Click and drag the procedures for correctly re-energizing the system and place in the correct sequence order. That's the wrong choice. The correct order must be followed to re-energize the high voltage circuit. The order of re-energizing is: complete the access sheet, remove high voltage danger tag, remove all earthing applications, check that all 3 phases of the earthing are open, engage isolator switch, check that all 3 phases of the isolator switch have closed. Confirm to the operator that they can start up their equipment.